Ah, oh no. My secret. My secret. My secret that I've kept a secret for far too long. It will be unveiled by the power of beauty and of music. Music! Oh my god! The other half of my face is passable. Oh! What the fuck was up with that casting? Maybe it's not the casting itself, although Gerald Butler doesn't really look bad at all. And add to him looking actually quite handsome the fact that his unmasked half as the Phantom of the Opera still looks pretty fucking passable. What the ever-loving shit? Whose idea was that? I've seen different iterations of the Phantom of the Opera, and I know that he can look quite disfigured, which is the idea. You have someone with a beautiful voice and a talent for music that defies all odds, whatever. There's this great artist, and behind him stands someone whom society perceives as a monster for looking disfigured. In this fucking movie, he doesn't look disfigured. He just looks, slightly disfigured. It's like he had a bit of an accident a few months ago with a frying pan. That's what he looks like. He doesn't look like he needs to be, like he should at any point in his life, been this immense target for ridicule. Fucking hell. Phantom of the Opera, based upon the musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber, is a very interesting movie from the year 2004. I believe I have first... Wait, did I? Yeah, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that I first saw this movie back in 2005 or 4. I would have to ask my brother about that, because we went to Hungary that summer, and on our way back, or was it in Hungary still? Anyway, it's for whatever reason we were attending an open air viewing of the movie. It was in Hungarian. No, wait, it was in English with Hungarian subtitles. Now I remember. My English wasn't quite as well developed as it is now, so I couldn't quite understand as much of what was going on as I do now, specifically as I do now that I've rewatched the movie. So certain aspects of it, and also the fact that I was like 9 or 10 years old, which meant that the ideas of certain kind of troublesome, if maybe a bit underdeveloped ideas of complicated romances and the love triangle in general, those just weren't ideas that I really knew what to do with as of yet. Nowadays, I know how these normally work in a movie, and that's great, because that helped me get through this movie with a lot less confusion and with a lot more understanding, if not a sense of feeling a bit above this movie. Why did I feel like I was a bit above this movie? Well, it feels as if this movie understands a good scene, and as if this movie understands how to be epic, grand, and memorable, because this movie has lots of memorable scenes in it, some of which, you could put on a fucking movie poster in and of itself. You got the absolutely classic iconography of the Phantom appearing behind Christine in the mirror as she's looking into the mirror, him leading her into the depths of his dungeons, the candelabras rising from the misty water. It's amazing. Now, with all that being said, this movie feels like it doesn't know how to take its fucking time. It feels chaotic. Sometimes that's warranted. For example, there's the masquerade. And then the masquerade scene, the idea is that everybody's having a great time. Everyone is just kind of, strutting about, looking fabulous in their masks, and it's a chaotic mishmash of people, and that's great. For this kind of scene, it works that you have a chaotic kind of cadence to the editing. But it doesn't really fucking work for lots of other scenes where I wished we could have gotten a bit more of a, of a Hitchcockian scene of suspense. For example, we did not need to see the fella who takes care of all the rigs upstage. We did not need to see him getting chased down by the Phantom. What we could have seen instead, what I believe, at least according to the Lindsay Allers video, if I remember correctly, what they did in the show is basically do the Hitchcock. Basically, not have a bomb on stage, although that would have also been funny, but the equivalent of that would have been to show the stage and everyone around the stage, but not anyone above the stage. Not someone who's doing whatever the fuck they're doing above the stage, as the Phantom and the rigging person does. Because in that case, you would just have this show which has gone awry already due to the main singer, who's not Christine, the other one, due to her having lost her voice. Everybody is in disarray and it's chaos, and they're trying to salvage this performance. Beautiful. Then you got this ballet going, which is kind of funny, whatever. And then you got the guy hanging by a rope, like getting hung in front of the entire audience out of the fucking blue. He just drops down from above, like they did in the bloody stage version, which I 100% now have to see because I'm super curious as to how exactly they did certain things that they did in this movie on stage. Let's move on to a positive though. Besides this movie, on the negative side, this movie kind of doesn't necessarily always know when to not show something and when to rather let a scene breathe. This movie does know how to use the music properly because, the art direction is quite vivid and the choreography is well placed. I can't really complain about any of that. Not really. Once again, it's more the abhorrent desire of the editor to keep our eyes busy in a movie that is about a mystical, not necessarily apparition, obviously, in theory is supposed to be a phantom, initially, before we learn what his actual deal is. But this initial idea of him is not really being conveyed. He appears way too fucking early, it seems to me at least, and he doesn't really behold that kind of gravitas that he should command, which is to say, we see him way too early, we see way too much of him, and the hectic editing doesn't really help me gain a sense of mystique that would have been desperately needed in order to catapult this movie into higher echelons of cinema. Now, as it is, though, and this is a weird take, I know, as it is, though, it's still really fucking good. It's not a movie that I would say rivals, I don't know, fucking, what was my favorite one out of the musical movies that I've seen so far? Yeah, it doesn't rival a Les Miserables. It doesn't rival West Side Story. It is in its own right kind of goofy, but not always when it needs to be. And it's a Joel Schumacher movie, like the dude who did Batman and Robin, which automatically gives it a bit of a campy style. It works every now and again, but it doesn't work all the time. This movie just feels like it's too much pizzazz all the time, even though it could need some of that dirt and downtroddenness of Les Miserables. Just, every now and again for a few more scenes. But what it specifically needs, once again, is actual gravitas and moments to breathe, besides that moment in Prima Donna, in the Prima Donna song where everybody literally takes a breath. And yeah, that's what I kind of, that's what I, at the end, took away from this movie. It's just too hectic. It's too hectic for its own good, and it could be way better if it were to just take its time, but it doesn't. And granted, some of these hectic scenes can be very funny, and I applaud it for being funny every now and again, and I applaud it for once again implementing the music very effectively, at least in my opinion. But I do not applaud it for its hectic camera styles, and I also don't applaud it, but that might be the fault of the stage musical. I don't applaud it for the lack of character depth. There's this this romance triangle is dog shit. I can't put it any other way. Yeah, no, I mean, other than that, it's a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10. It did give me quite a bit of what I wanted, and I went away from it with a few earworms stuck in my head. Like, obviously, the actual Phantom of the Opera, which is like a very fucking iconic song. You got the Dead of No Return, the Edge of No Return. I forgot its name, but I remember its sounds. And Angel of Music, obviously, is absolutely brilliant. The fucking Masquerade song is absolutely bedazzling. Like, if you don't get an earworm from that, I don't know what to tell you, man. But yeah, no, that's Les Miserables. On to the Wolverine, which is the second part of the Wolverine trilogy that consists out of X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, and Logan, with each movie title getting successfully in succession shorter. If there were a fourth movie in this trilogy, it would just be called Claws. Oh wait, that's still longer than... Wait, is it longer than Logan? Shit. No, it's exactly the same length. Yeah, no, it would just be called W. And the Wolverine is a kind of the opposite of, weirdly enough, the opposite of Phantom of the Opera, in the sense that it knows when to take its fucking time and when to have our characters take a breath, to have a good talk about something, about character motivation. Now, is it perfect? No. But it's a lot better and a lot deeper than X-Men Origins Wolverine, to compare it to its direct predecessor. And it knows what kind of a movie it is, just like X-Men Origins Wolverine, interestingly enough. The only difference between these two movies is that X-Men Origins Wolverine was just a bit too dumb to be considered good. But I still gave it a 7 out of 10 because of just how unapologetically dumb it felt. This movie feels almost a bit too serious at times for its own good. There's lots of things going on. We got our main character, Logan, traveling to Japan because of an old friend, in quotation marks, that he met during the Second World War, and whose life he saved, as he managed to, save his life from getting obliterated in a nuclear explosion near Nagasaki, which is a ridiculous fucking story beat, in all honesty, but it's kind of really cool opening. There are lots of cool scenes in this movie. It's a great action movie. For example, we got a fight scene that takes place on top of a moving bullet train in Tokyo. At least I hope it's Tokyo. I hope I'm not doing a racism here. Just saying, yeah, there were like Japanese signs on the houses, and therefore I presumed it was Tokyo. I'm pretty sure it was Tokyo. And Wolverine fighting against a dude in a ginormous mech samurai suit with a flaming sword. And also Wolverine trying to approach a giant fortress in a small Japanese village as he's getting penetrated over and over and over again by arrows that have like cords strapped to them, and the arrows are also poisonous, so they try to get him down by poisoning him until he collapses. And it's a really great movie. It's a really great single sort of solo adventure for Wolverine to undertake. He gives it his all, and at the end of the movie, he's basically, well, he's kind of done moping, at least. And I mean, we do get a twist at the very, very ending of this movie, a post or mid-credit scene, so to speak, which is then the setup for our X-Men Days of Future Past. And yeah, what can I say? It's well made. It's atmospheric. If you like Japan, if you like Hugh Jackman, or if you like the Wolverine, just in general, you're gonna like the Wolverine. It's really fucking great, actually. It's just that every now and again I kind of forget how well made this movie is, and it gets overshadowed by Logan for its emotional depth, and it gets overshadowed by X-Men Origins Wolverine for the absolute, complete and utter action movie stupidity that movie embodied. Because there's a huge difference between having a movie that is well made, got lots of great action scenes, and also got some emotional depth to it, and a movie that is still relatively well made, just really fucking stupid and goes completely over the top with everything that it does while having a dog shit story in it. And I think that's the big issue with the Wolverine. It is 100% at least a 7 out of 10, if not an 8. But it gets overshadowed by one movie that is just way, way out of its league. And the other movie which is way, way below that league. And so you have a movie that is just kind of stuck. It is an amazing movie, and I really like watching it, but I'm not sure if I will remember it for the next few months. Maybe I'll remember till the end of this year, maybe. But I can't make a promise out of that. It's not forgettable, it's just forgettable in comparison to its younger and older brother. That's the biggest issue. That really is it. And I hate it for that. I hate that it kind of vanishes in between these two movies, because nobody is going to argue that the Wolverine is better than X-Men Origins Wolverine, but nobody is going to argue that Logan is better than the Wolverine. And what are you left with? The middle child. In this case, that's a bad thing. Sorry to all middle children for taking this the wrong way. I'm not saying that you are any worse than your older, younger siblings. It's just that in this specific case, in this case of cinema, Ed just happens to make the other movie feel kind of invisible. And that's it. I already told you that I believe this movie deserves about a 7 to an 8 out of 10, maybe. It depends a bit on what kind of a mood I'm in, but it was definitely 100% worth it, me having seen it. That in turn means... Oh my god, I can't find it. Oh wait, it's over here. That in turn means next time we're going to take a bit of a double time travel opportunity. We're going to travel through time in 2 different movies, although one is not really about time travel, but one takes place a lot fucking earlier than the other. So I also consider this a time travel movie by the virtue of it taking place way back in time, in the times of the Roman Empire. And the other one is X-Men Origins. Oh wait, shit, not X-Men Origins. X-Men Days of Future Past. Wait, Bryan Singer still directed this? Well, Jesus.